much I can say to express all the gratitude and things for such a long time. So, and this is not particularly entertaining, but it's a little bit historical. Tobin actually had the best line a week ago, posting in the math department, saying that Frank and Teddy have combined for 46 years. There have been lots of wonderful things said about me this year, and I do appreciate it. But that was not always the case. In this room, I have been cheered, celebrated, criticized, respected, disrespected, and challenged. So I thought I'd tell a story. I'm not really sure why, but sometimes stories are helpful, and many of us were here in this room almost exactly a year ago for a very therapeutic and even cathartic roast of Ben, and it just struck me that laughing together is sometimes good because we can be awfully serious because it's serious work. And I would tell Ben frequently, I would check in with him about it. I said, Ben, you tell great stories, and sometimes they even have a point. And a year ago we had the laugh machine, Craig, but he would laugh and then say, which one? So this story is just a few minutes and about perspective. I get the question, how has the school changed? And it really begs the question, how has the world changed since 1979 or 1980, fall of 79. Paul graduated from Cate. Paul's dad was part of the team that hired me, a very informal process. That's another story. I'll tell that story. Disco was still popular. We, in fact, had a disco ball for years in the Raymond Commons. Saturday Night Fever was still around. But one thing that has not changed is this room. Faculty meetings right in here, the JL, the Johnson Library, and if you've had time, it's not that the presentations aren't always thrilling, but maybe you've read some of the things around here. This library is given by the Board of Trustees. Bishop Joseph Horsfeld Johnson, actually a famous name in Los Angeles religious leadership, was the first president of the board here when the school was incorporated. And I have an interest in history and have been working with Judy Savage a little bit on a kind of a revised timeline. It's kind of a fun project. And I didn't know right away, but Reginald Johnson, the famous architect, was his son. And so this design was in large part a tribute to his dad. And I did find out he was, like several of our heads, an 1870 graduate of Williams College. I did a little mental math, and I think it's fair to say that I've been in about 4,000 meetings in this room. Special events, faculty meetings, all kinds of things, and they are the same books. It's not entertaining. But for the last meeting, I want to take you back for a moment to the very first faculty meeting. So imagine let's see, I guess I just turned 25, and I'm in here. We imagine no TV screen, certainly, no internet. There may have been a typewritten agenda, literally typed, but I doubt it. So June of 1980, and the story I'll get to in just a second, but the interesting thing, of course, and it takes me a while to figure these things out, but I realized when you're the longest tenured faculty member, no one knows the school as a teacher before me. In other words, like all the people that influenced me, several of you talked about mentors, you don't know any of them. Gabby Edwards and I came the same year. She had been in LA, so we've bonded over that. But and the other thing is, none of you were here to contest the story that has been slightly embellished. So here we are, exactly 44 years ago. School has 210 boys. 30 of the 37 teaching faculty were male, over 80%. Thank goodness Gabby was there. As opposed to our teaching faculty today, I took Troy's spreadsheet. This is a rough number, but 31 female identifying to 25 males, so we're about 55-45 teaching faculty at this point, and it took a long time. Student bodies increased 43% from about 210 to over 300. Teaching faculty, and this is not including counselors, all the other positions, has increased 54% as our program has expanded, as we saw, and it's expensive. So imagine it's this is the end of the year meetings, but a typical meeting, it's Monday night, most everyone's in coat and tie, because we had 5 formal dinners a week. When we went to 4, there was incredible cheering. We had Friday night off. So Sunday night was formal dinner, combo 2 or 3 times. Faculty spoke. So faculty meeting was 5 to 6 o'clock. So you can imagine all the kind of tweed and corduroy coats. Saturday classes every week. Okay, so picture that. Okay, and now imagine a smoke-filled room in here. So my memory fades on some of this, but secondhand smoke concerns. Secondhand smoke concerns were not really. I mean, I remember people talking about, we want to ban smoking. There's no way that would ever happen. So the smokers' rights were big. We're private property. Our head, assistant head, dean of students were heavy smokers, particularly under stress. So when there were discipline meetings at night, you go into a smoke-filled room. I raised this concern, kind of stupidly. He said, and I'm sure I stammered through it, which is, I have a concern that this was with several of the administrators in the spring, that I'm a little uncomfortable having we have to go to these meetings. It's one thing to smoke in your office, but it's another thing in the public rooms. And it was met, like several of my ideas, with a, okay. We'll see. So nothing happened until the June faculty meetings, and this is, to the best of my knowledge, a true story. So we're in here, June meetings, and the headmaster, Scott McLeod, is there. We're going all kinds of things. It's a very business, like a top-down, I would say not interactive. And number 1, agenda, students on disciplinary issues, something else. Number 2, number 3. They said agenda number 4, smoking. Frank? This was a scarring experience. It is hard to present in faculty meeting. I know it, I've done it many times, but it was nothing like that. So I'm sitting right over there. I don't know if I stood up here, probably not. I don't know if I even could stand. But I remember just standing up and saying something like, I'm looking at the smokers who are lost. And I really don't really think that public places should. Somehow I got that, and was met, as sometimes even happens today, with deafening silence. Finish and go, okay, we're good. Any discussion? Thank you. All right, number 5. So that's pretty much the story. I've told it a few times at lunch, because when people say how have things changed, and I fully understand, we're here from years 1 to 45 and experience, and bring different worlds to this place. And my perspective is, when you think, things like that, it's kind of worked that way, because that's the place I came into. It's a much kinder, gentler place in a lot of ways, and it was kind of interesting. It took a year or 2, but the concession, I think the next year, and this is fuzzy, Jeff, I don't know if you remember in '83, I think by then we said, okay, like a memo went out, one of those half sheet things that was stuffed in the mailbox. It's like, due to concerns raised by the faculty. Talk about a target. We will, or please refrain from smoking in required meetings. So that was the first step. Like, if you have to be in here, okay, we're not going to blow smoke in your face. But it took a while, because if you got called into an office, which I occasionally did, an administrative office, it was okay to have a smoke-filled private office, and that took a little while. And I have good relationships with the people that I fought with at the time, but I remember at one point, the smoke was flowing out of the bottom of the door into my office when we were kind of chasing it, and they said, look, okay, just come in here, can you smell it? And no, I can't smell it because I smoke. So, and then it was just a quick Emily story. Some of you know her. She certainly would take on anybody. And so by about 1990 in the faculty room, right, when we put in the gas fireplace, Alan Gunther would still smoke in the faculty room, but he would do this. He'd stand there. not smoking here. It's like the Dunkin' Donuts. To wrap up, because I'm well aware, a minute over. Alan would do that until, and he would come into the faculty room and scream at him and say, Alan, you're smoking in the faculty room, get out of here. So it got to the point where he knew when her lunch was. So you see this distinguished guy in his coat and tie just running up. So there's not any particular point other than that story, but it can be hard to present to faculty. I hope we can continue to be supportive while speaking our minds. And I'll just finish with my hope for the future, that when I started in the schoolhouse, Shannon tried to distill the handbook. It was really the phrase my mother would use. I would distill down this, rather than going through the handbook, as I used to do, I just said, and I'll say it to you, just take care of each other, take care of the place, and take care of yourselves. So, thank you.